Wenn ich sage, dass ich persönlich die Einschätzung von Frau von der Leyen teile. Schlussfolgerungen für Deutschland hat es keine, weil die deutschen Bundesregierungen zuvor entschieden haben, aus der Kernenergie auszusteigen. Der Beschluss ist irreversibel. Ich bedauere das, aber es ist so und wir konzentrieren uns jetzt auf die Energiepolitik, die wir haben, sie zu optimieren.
You can't reserve a previous government stupid decision. We don't do that in Germany. This is actually very interesting. Germany, a nation that decided to become progressive, a nation of the future, abandoned its nuclear energy in order to save our planet. So every single African, every single Indian, every single American needs to unironically kiss the boots of every single German they meet, because their population, with their huge sacrifice, have managed to preserve the planet for another generation. That's how awe-inspiring and empathetic and compassionate German people are. The reality is a little bit more complex, and it's very political. So for those of you who are unaware, Ursula von der Leyen recently came out and she said that nuclear power may actually be the future. Europe's energy stability is important. Now, the reason this is funny is because Ursula von der Leyen herself, while she was in Germany, has signed laws in order to ban nuclear power. And so how do we explain that, right? Like, how exactly did it happen? Is this hypocrisy? The reality is that it's not hypocrisy, it's realpolitik, and most people don't know how to follow actual politics. They usually just look at the stuff that's on TV, which has nothing to do with what politicians discuss when making decisions. So, in order to understand why Germany decided to sabotage its nuclear power, you have to look at what happened in the past. So, the Soviet Union, specifically, but not just the Soviet Union, also Russia after the collapse of communism, has spent a lot of money in order to subvert Western nations with the idea that nuclear power is evil. They use Chernobyl as an example, and again, most people know that because Russia doesn't understand how to build rocks, then no one should build nuclear reactors. And so this was ingrained in the European psyche that nuclear power plants are extremely dangerous, they're harmful for the environment, and there was a lot of activism in order to get them to shut down. The reason Russia did this was obvious, like they wanted to sell gas to Europe. And Europe having nuclear powers means they're buying less gas, or that they're negotiating from a position of strength, right? And so, like, for the Russian government, like, throwing a couple of million rubles to just get a couple of students on the street and chant, it's not like some grand arching conspiracy. It's just what governments do. Like, it's just common sense. The fact that the Western population accepts that bullshit, that's completely different. But again, like most of you that grew up in my time period, like you remember Captain Planet literally had the villain that had the power to use radiation. And this is because that was the narrative at the time, right? Now, all of this hysteria gets dialed up to 11 once you have the Fukushima incident in Japan. Japan, unlike the Soviet Union, they actually do know how to boil rocks. But the problem is that they had one of the worst misfortunes possible. Their reactor got hit by an earthquake and then by a tsunami. And so the incident happened. Now, this caused a lot of anxiety in Germany. And so Angela Merkel noticed that the Greens were surging in the polls. And so the idea of shutting down nuclear energy at the time became a hot topic. And so politicians, as I mentioned, the one thing that they're most terrified of is not hate speech, is not revolution, it's losing their seats. Again, people that claim that voting doesn't matter are retards. It absolutely matters for the politician. Like, the politicians get thousands of euros just sitting on a chair doing barely anything. They have all the perks, they have lobby companies, they're important as long as they maintain the seat. And so when a member from the SPD or the CDU knows that they can lose their seat from a person that's on the green, well, they become desperate. And part of that desperation was to actually pass legislation to shut Germany's nuclear power. And all of a sudden, the Greens platform goes away. It's like you can't say, well, vote for me because I'll shut down nuclear power if the government says, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. We'll shut it down. We'll shut it down. Like, they literally just take your platform away. And so eventually it got passed and codified into law. And by the time COVID happened and energy prices started skyrocketing, and then you even have the conflict in Ukraine, and you also have Germany's pipeline blowing up, it was already too late. Like, the laws were passed, the bureaucratic machine was in motion. And so, despite the fact that they shouldn't have done it, the nuclear reactors got shut down. Now, the thing with nuclear reactors is that once you're shutting them down, or in some cases they even destroy them, rebuilding them or restarting them is extremely expensive. It's not like just the process of restarting the reactor, it's the entire logistical chain. And if Germany already invested resources in alternative powers, then they already have contracts that they need to honor. And if they don't honor the contracts, they get sued. And if they get sued, then the government pays money. So on one hand, it's very embarrassing for politicians to admit they're wrong because they usually don't answer to the public in that manner. Like, politicians would almost never admit that they are wrong because they're rarely held accountable. They have hate speech laws in order to prevent people from holding them accountable. So the government doing a flip-flop like that looks really bad. But the second reason is, well, pragmatic one. Like, financially, logistically, legally, it would be very difficult for them now to restart the reactors. And again, like, they would give the platform to the Greens. Now, this is why accelerationism doesn't work. It's because you have this concept on the internet, oh, well, if people see just how bad it is, that they're going to make the right decisions. No, people get used to things being bad. That's what happens. Like, sure, after the reactors were shut down and the energy prices rose, people were angry. And there may have been, at the time, a moment where people, if they would have had the choice, they would have voted for a government that wanted to burn coal and to restart the reactors. But that moment has passed. Now almost every single German is used with the high energy prices, and they are embracing Mother Gaia, and every single American should kiss the German feet because, again, they're saving the planet. That's the rhetoric. Okay, like, behind what actually happened, behind the realpolitik, you have, like, the circus that they serve to the public that, yes, we're transitioning to green energy and, right, carbon credits. I mean, oh my goodness, like the carbon credits. Can you imagine? Like, the government would actually lose money if they transition to another form of energy that doesn't require carbon credits. And this is also why you have Ursula von der Leyen. Like, when she was in power in Germany, she basically signed the paper in order to prevent the Green Party from winning the elections. She probably didn't give a shit about green energy, nuclear. Like, no. Like, she wanted to hold her seat. Like, she was protecting her political party from the opposition. Now that she's in the European Union, we have a saying in Romania. The context has changed. It's a different situation. And so now, yes, she can go on and she can say, like, how important nuclear power is for Europe and how she is supporting it, because she's not afraid that the Greens are going to take her seat as the president of the European Union. So hopefully people understand a little bit more now, because I see a lot of individuals confused, right? Like, on the surface, it doesn't make any sense. Like, why are German politicians acting like this? Are they stupid? Are they moronic? The reality makes perfect sense if you actually follow what the incentives are. Like, who are the key players? There's no, like, grand conspiracy or, like, grand narrative. It's just, like, incentives, right? Like, politicians look at the polls, they see the green surging, they don't want to lose the next elections. And so they do what, at the time, sounded feasible. It's like, well, we're buying gas from Russia anyway, we can afford to shut down our nuclear reactors. The war happens, their pipeline gets blown up. Oh shit, fuck, what do we do now? Can we reverse it? Well, not really, because like Germany, unlike other nations, like in the United States, maybe they could have reversed it. Germany is extremely bureaucratic, and it's designed so after World War II, so that you don't have another chancellor that manages to become a dictator. And so with Germany, like, changing the course would be extremely difficult. You have to start passing legislation again. You have to fire people, start committees. By the time they would restart the reactor, it would be like 10 or 20 years in the future. So this is why Bert is saying, yeah, it was a bad idea, but if we make a previous government stupid decision, we cannot reverse it. We don't do that in Germany.